Eagle fans, the number one seed is ours for the taking. The NFC crown is ours for the taking. Lions stumble, Eagles soar. Oh, man. NFL Week 15. It's a lot of stuff to talk about. Hey, welcome back for another episode. I think we're calling this Victory Mondays. Victory Mondays, right? Whatever this means. I think it's fly, right? Like fly. That's what I think it is.
Feeling it means something.
It's got to mean fly. Because Cooper didn't go like this. He didn't put the arms out. He just went like this, and it's just catching stone. That's what I'm.
Yeah, but he said they had it planned before, so it's something that I don't know.
We'll figure. We'll see if we can figure it out. My vote. If you guys are watching, what's your vote? What does this mean?
I mean, it's more of a this because they keep it real tight.
Yeah, I don't know if they go like this.
AJ hits it.
Welcome everybody back to another Victory Monday podcast. I think we're sticking with the name. We kind of messed with the name, but I think Victory Mondays kind of fit, especially this season, win after win, breaking a franchise record and winning 10 games in a row for your Philadelphia Eagles. I am the player. They call me Moss Money, and that is the GM, Ernie B. What's up, bro?
What's happening, man? That was that felt good. I think what was Jalen Hurts' quote? What was it? Is that what y'all wanted to see?
Yeah. That's what y'all wanted to see. Yeah. You know how he is because he's smooth. Let me see if I get my
wearing the Jordan.
Jordan, the Kango, right? He had the Kango on. Right, just come up here. I mean, that's what y'all wanted to see, right? I mean, that's what we did.
And he bust out the big old Breed 1 chain, too. That thing was
right.
crazy.
Did you see that joint hanging? That joint was crazy. Dude. That joint was shining, bro. I was like, damn, what is that? Jalen, you showing that money, boy?
Dude, my homeboy hit me up. He's not even that big of a football fan. He was like, yo, this Jalen Hurts chain is wild.
That Jalen Hurts chain was crazy in the press conference. And he came in all black. Black. And it was
that is
shining.
One of his coolest moments. I think that's one of his coolest moments.
With the Kango hat backwards.
Game, that was one of his coolest
That
moments.
was hilarious. Yeah, I'll see if I can find a picture of that so we can get that. That is funny. I do remember seeing the press conference. But hey, we are here to talk Eagles and about the win. We're going to recap the Steelers game. It's so much positive in that game. I want to nitpick a little bit.
There's negatives.
I want to nitpick. I want to nitpick a little bit in a complete, what we feel like is a complete game from what we saw, and it's been a while, and we needed it in all phases of the game. And then look at the NFL as a whole right now, the playoff picture, and we'll give live updates on the two games right now. I know the Vikings are winning right now 10-0, I believe, and Atlanta and Raiders are going back and forth. And it's just surprising how bad Atlanta has fallen off. Now you're hearing talks about I forget his name. First name, is it Kyle Pitts? Yeah, Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
Like not really just being into football at all. That's what we're kind of seeing from the Kyle Pitts side. I know people were running like, how we go get him with Goddard. I'm cool with Grant. I'm cool with Grant. Grant shows up to me. Grant knows where to be and how to get open. And he's not flash. He kind of reminds me of a poor man's Brent Selleck, like the start of Brent, the start of those Chad Lewises. Not as good, not even close.
6th round pick, you're compared to the 4th overall pick. It's a little different.
Yeah, but he just finds a way to get open. He's sure enough of a catcher. I haven't really seen him drop any balls. He hasn't made any spectacular catches, but he doesn't really drop any balls. I don't know what he is in pass pro. We can get into the funny details of, we can geek out on the football, but for the most part, he when he's on the field and Goddard's not, he is productive. He catches the ball. So I thought I like that kind of from Grant, but chill y'all with the Kyle Pitts to Philly. Like we got it. We got enough mouths to feed
from Philly. So that's
I know. I get it. But we got enough mouths to feed. We're okay.
There's one Pennsylvania-born person we're looking for in the mysterious trade market. If making things up, it's Micah Parsons. I mean, that's that's it. I mean,
we want
that would be
amazing.
We don't have to dive into that, but if there's one hypothetical trade that would be, it ain't Kyle Pitts. I can tell you.
Yeah, I would love for Parsons again. If you guys
Tyler Warren is more likely to be an Eagle than Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, I agree with that. If you guys haven't seen the interview, I interviewed Parsons' dad. It was a great conversation that me and Parsons' dad had in Harrisburg on the Money Pot channel. So run to YouTube or just wait till after the show. Check it out. It was a great interview. We had a lot of fun.
I should redrop that this cycle, this offseason.
Yeah, maybe. Parsons yeah. Because it's and what I learned from that family was they're all Cowboys fans. His dad's a Cowboys fan. His grandfather's a Cowboys fan.
He did not want to play for Philly. That was the thing. He was very adamant about Philadelphia.
Yeah, he did not want to stay.
And I believe Pittsburgh was too close to home.
Anything in PA is too close. It's too close with his family. He doesn't need the distractions. That's why I say it's great to talk about it. It's great because he's always talks about the Eagles, obviously, because we're in the same division. So we want him here. I would love Parsons here, especially on this young team. And he's still what? He didn't get as big. What is he, 24-ish? 5-ish? So to grow with our young defense as it is now, oh my God, it would be great. The window would be open for the next couple years because of Michael Parsons on the team. But unfortunately, the man doesn't want to play in the state of PA. He just doesn't. It's just what it is.
And he's I've said this before. I mean, he's the closest thing, and I think it will go down in his career. He's the closest thing from Lawrence Taylor that we've seen in the NFL is Mike Parsons. It doesn't. He is hands down that freaking good. I mean, he could line up at DB if he wanted to.
Yeah. Shout out my guys from the Santa Boo First podcast. God, I love that name. I love the name. Shout out to Smitty and Jim jumping on here. Talking Eagles, always talking Eagles.
I said Warren is more likely than more likely.
Yeah. Let's get Warren from PSU. You know what? I wasn't on the Warren chain, but I can get on it. I don't know. Do you think he goes 1? Is he that good to go 1? I feel like he's a late 1, early 2.
It's a light receiver class too. So there's
I mean, it's the kid from Arizona, obviously Hunter. The kid from is it Texas? There's a good kid in Texas. I think he's got first round talent. I haven't deep dived into the draft. Ohio State was in.
But then you got the rumors that Drew Ayler is going back to college. But there's a lot.
That's not a rumor. He came out and said that he's going back.
That was today. I saw this morning.
Yeah, so Drew Ayler is going back today. The backup for Penn State has already entered the transfer portal.
But Ayler hasn't said that he's coming back yet.
No, he did. He officially announced he was coming back.
Okay.
So Drew is coming back for 2025. Oh, man, my boy Nolan getting some national love. The Hurt showed out yesterday with all these Detroit injuries. We have to take the NFC this year. Absolutely. Now, we all know my affiliation for not liking Nolan Smith. I can't stand the kid, but I will give the kid due. That's not unnecessary. It's absolutely necessary. I will give the kid due. He had his best game this past game. Took him
best game as an Eagle by far.
Yeah, took him 14 games. Took him, 2 years in my book. But he had his best game, and I won't knock the kid for playing well. He definitely played well. He's a hustle guy.
Aside from the stat sheet, he set the edge for like he's starting to actually set the edge, and it's kind of nice when he comes off he's so good on broken plays. He is such a threat with broken plays. Like
you think so?
I mean,
he's a hustle guy. Like he'll run it down.
Like, did you see him jump over that defender? That I believe it was I don't know if it was a tight end.
That was a dumb play for him. You never teach kids. You never teach guys to jump.
I know you don't, man. But Russell Wilson, the veteran, and awesome pocket presses.
And that was on third down too, if I'm not mistaken. That was on third down.
Russell said, "What the hell is this guy doing?"
He said, "No, he did. He didn't freeze it. Like, look at this dickhead. I'm gonna run right here."
Like, my good. I mean, that's not a thing that that's not teach tape. That's not. It's just his freakish athleticism. He's starting to hone it in slowly but surely. It's starting to look like he actually understands how to move around.
He honestly understands how to move around.
I mean,
he can run the hoop. He always could run the hoop. He has to learn how to bring his speed to power. I think that's what he's missing, and he's missing a plan. Like he just gets up and just kind of goes. Like as a defensive lineman, you got to have a plan on your pass rush, and I think that's what he's missing. That's a youth thing, right? You learn that as you get older.
Experience is a bit. He needs reps after reps. I think the one where Josh Sweat got the sack, it was I thought when Josh Sweat's sack, it was kind of interesting because if you look at right there, Nolan Smith was actually in the midst of a spin and he was still backing the lineman down.
Yeah, he needs to get a little bit control. He needs to be a little bit defined. My problem with Nolan Smith is that he was labeled the heir apparent to Riddick, and I think that was one unfair to him. And I think a lot of people ran with it because they saw him in shorts and a t-shirt and he looked jacked and they thought, oh, like this guy is it. And I'm watching him and I'm just like, he's not it. Now I'm might
not throwing that away though, just because like Riddick is doing absolutely nothing for the Jets. And that means
the Jets aren't doing that. The Jets are doing absolutely nothing for the Jets. So
well, yeah, but I mean, you can't tell me the defense is
Aaron Rodgers is throwing for 300 yards for no reason out of nowhere. Like, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah,
like,
but we're talking about the defense. Like Riddick, should not be held to a different standard this year than he was last year.
Oh, wow. Jalen Hurts VP. Josh Sweat is the real deal. Unfortunately, he ain't going to be here next year, brother. I mean, he's not going to be here next year. And you know what?
He took a pay cut to come back this year. Usually what's going to happen is he'll go.
I'm okay with Sweat. I'm not a big Sweat fan because I think he's streaky and he's not consistent. If you look at the numbers, he's only had one double-digit sack, and that was the year that everybody went crazy and we had like 70 sacks. This will be the second. And what? I think how long has he been in the Eagles? 6 years? 7 years? Going on somewhere.
In 2018, I think.
2018. So so almost 6 years. Out of those 6 years, probably want to say what when he become a starter.
He's part of the best Eagles draft class ever, which is Goddard, Maddox, Sweat, Matt Pryor, Jordan Mailata. Matt Pryor was traded for a pick to the Colts.
Do you think that's the best draft ever?
One of them, yeah. As far as return on investment on every single pick and being
just because Mailata turned out to be probably
because every player aside from one who was traded for a pick,
to
become a multi-contract player, were multi-contract players.
That's true. Maddox at one time was the best slot, one of the best slots, if not the best slot corner in the league.
Yeah, but to have a successful draft pick at any pick in the draft is multiple contracts. It's all about how many contracts you get. Jahan Dotson, who is our wide receiver 3, didn't only got one contract. He was a first-round pick with his team.
Right. Okay. You're right. You don't think Sweat is back? I don't think so.
If he takes a pay cut, he'll be back. But Bryce,
but I mean, he's going to get double-digit sacks. He's going to get probably anywhere from, I don't know where he's at now, maybe at 9. But if he gets 11 to 12, he's going to want to get paid, and I'm not hating him for that. He should want to get paid, but they're not going to pay him like a top, a top pass rusher. He won't get more money than Huff. You know what I mean? Like I don't think so.
I don't think Josh Sweat's mind's there yet, though. I think what they do with Josh Sweat is what they did this cycle, which is if you can go get more money than this number right here, go get it. But if you want to come back to where you're comfortable, then just come back.
Yeah, and you gotta forget the knee injury. He's always got chronic bad knees. So
one chronic bad knee. At one point, Josh Sweat was the best player in all of high school football.
Yeah, but the knee injury crushed that. The knee injury crushed that.
Devastating. It was extremely bad.
Yeah. And the fact that I think Chris Long has said this many of times over, that how talented Sweat is, even with the knee injury.
Dude, he has like half a leg, and he does what he does. Like it's
yeah. I mean,
dragging.
What was it? 2 years ago? Was it the 70-year sack year when he ran for like 50 yards with the was it a pick? Like you could see the hobble. It was like it was a peg leg.
Right? Yeah, he has a half a right leg, I believe. If he's the right one, it's
right.
Yeah. He's just very, very talented.
Yeah. But let's go to the game, right? We're kind of in and out of the game. We're talking about a lot of different stuff. Great game. Eagles win 27-17, I think the end. Was it
27-13?
27-13. Looked dominant on defense. Looked balanced on offense, even though Saquon didn't have a Saquon type game that we were looking for.
He got Saquon touches. That's what.
Yeah, he did, and he was close. I think what was the one? I forget what was the one. He was close to breaking. It was just one guy to beat, and the guy actually he was stumbling, and the guy got an attack. I forget what play it was. I think it was like kind of like an off tackle on the left, but he almost broke one, and they do his normal Saquon thing. But I mean, defense looked dominant. Jalen looked good. That's what I expect from Jalen. I didn't get hype on the Jalen Hurts train of what we saw. I expect him to do that every game with this offense and these receivers. That's what I'm expecting to do. But to do it against top talent and top defensive tier statistically was good to see. Was good to see. Good to see them come out. Good to see them come out throwing. I mean, the slant to AJ is just silly, right? And he finally hit Smitty in the crossing routes that he's been missing all game. He was patient. The offensive line held up as best they can. I know TJ Watt had two sacks and he was disruptive, but just not disruptive enough. Our defense was they just swallowed up the Pittsburgh Steelers and all. But so much good came out of that. And obviously Jalen and Brown silenced the critics. Let me ask you, you guys watching, what did you see that you was like, if you want to nitpick, like what did you see out there that was just like, like we can't have this happen going against the KCs and the Buffaloes of the world.
I think the TJ Watt forced fumble was a big one.
Okay.
Cooper DeJean on punt return, that's gotta change. That's not.
Oh, you're saying no? You think Cooper doesn't belong on?
No, because we're a one injury away from having Avonte Maddox back in the nickel, and
it looked like. And the funny thing is, with the low tackle, it didn't look like it was a great. When people hit low, the knees kind of buckle just a little bit. It just doesn't look right. At first, I was like, "Ooh, it didn't look right," but it was a good thing he got back up. But my bad. Go ahead.
I mean, he took one to the chest that was just rough. I mean, he just. I think I know for a fact Vic doesn't like him there. So I mean, that's been stated.
Yeah, I think he has said that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's more of a. It's like, look, what it is the offense came out and Jalen Hurts took the reads that were there for him. He threw the passes that he wasn't throwing in the Carolina game. Mm-hmm. He was hesitating, and he bounced back and had a really good game. AJ Brown, like you said, on the slants is about unstoppable. I mean, he really is like.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't throw that more often. But
I mean, we went up against the number one rushing defense in football. Saquon got his touches. He got a little dinged up on that Minkah Fitzpatrick hit. Minkah got him with a good helmet shoulder to the hip there. That's just a little stinger. That one. And just to make a note, they're being overly cautious with him. That's a fact.
Yeah. He could have played. I felt
still
that too.
Got his normal volume. So
he could have came back in if they really needed him.
Yeah, and their time of possession was wild this game. So the fact that Gainwell got the touches that he did aligns with the time of possession. Nothing was different. All that was different on offense was Hurts took the reads that were there for him. The defense, again, won the football game. This is the best Eagles defense since Jeffrey Lurie took over. I'll stand on that. I think this is better than the 70 sack year, just because the mesh between rush and coverage is perfect. You have rookies that are playing at Pro Bowl level. You have guys that are they're just outperforming who they are as players because they're just doing their job. Kobe Dean and Zach Bond being two of those guys. And I mean, shout out to Zach Bond though. I mean, he really is playing at an all pro level. Did you see him go step for step with Calvin Austin on that out route? And he picked him up and he's sprinting for him with him the whole play. And then Russell Wilson kind of dumps it into a perfect pass. I mean, if he just had his hand, in this.
Oh, you talking about the kind of almost.
He picked him up late in coverage, yeah, and he just
not a seam route because he threw it to his outside
I think
shoulder.
It was more like a cross sail kind of thing, right?
Yeah, like it kind of like went up and then like kind of
he just
it wasn't even a post. Like
no,
it was just kind of like faded out, right?
It's college football shit, but
yeah. No, it was a perfect pass. It was no other way to put that pass. If
it was perfect coverage in his
place. It was
hands not there, but I mean that's but again, like Vic Fangio, what he's done with this defense is absolutely unreal. I mean,
if there was up for a coach of the year, I would put Vic up for sure.
Well, I mean they had through the first 12 plays they had 1 yard. I mean, 5 possessions, 0 first downs.
Yeah,
they ran 15 plays for 11 yards on 5 possessions.
Yeah,
it's crazy, man. I mean, what this defense is capable to do, and it's all on Jalen Carter's back. I mean, this dude is a flat out monster. And
So let's talk about Carter. I have the video clip because I don't think a lot of people seen the video. Well, probably people who are big, obviously follow Eagles, have seen the clip of him on the sideline and Sirianni going to the side and kind of trying to get to him, and Clint Hart. Yeah, Clint Hart kind of steps in between. Hurt. I'm sorry. Clint Hurt kind of steps in between. He looks like a defensive lineman coach too. When I saw him,
former defensive lineman, he should be.
Yeah. He steps in and kind of is the bridge there. And I had this conversation with somebody on Twitter, and I thought it was a perfect kind of what's the word? Kind of description of what Carter is becoming. And let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. I like my
give context to the video, because before we
go ahead. Give context to the video, brother.
All right, who does he slap in the face?
I don't know who he slapped.
Connor Hayward, that is little brother of Cameron Hayward. Okay. On the very first drive of the game, Connor Hayward pulls on a Najee toss, and Carter, Hayward keeps the block going after the play.
Mm-hmm.
Carter throws him off, and he points at him, hey, man, you want to do this? And Hayward, being the little brother of an all-time great, in my opinion, and Cameron Hayward, he just kept going at him. And eventually Jalen Carter's temper got the best of him. But it wasn't a one-off play. Jalen Carter and Connor Hayward were going at it the entire leading up to this. I mean, they were going at it with each other. So this isn't a thing that just happened out of nowhere. Like it was football, man.
Yeah, let me see if I can get the video.
This is also after the Darius Slay brawl.
Yeah, I have that video too. That's the funny thing. That was bad, but I mean, I mean,
Tom Brady said it perfect. He goes, "Let him play." He goes, "This is great football. Let it, break them up, let them play."
Washington is 6'6", 260, 270. Like, I mean,
taking on a guy and a veteran too. That's not
5'9", 5'10". A buck 85, maybe a buck 90 wet. Like, come on, man.
That's just not your. Yeah, that's not your place.
Yeah, it is what it is. I have the videos, man. Let me see if I can get it a different way. I do have these videos. The Washington one is bad, but let me ask you this while I get this stuff up so we can share it with the people and we can see it. And I had this conversation, and I'm a former defensive lineman, and I was typically, for most part, I was a clean player. I wasn't overly nasty, but I wasn't overly nice either when I played. I mean, I took my shots when they were open, but I didn't if your back was to me, I wasn't teeing off on you. I mean, unless you were the quarterback, I mean, there was no, I didn't have any sympathy for anybody on the field. That was where my nastiness came from. But I like defensive linemen and the big, I call them the big sexies in the trenches. You want a little nasty in with your lineman. That just comes with the territory. You're a big guy, 6'4" and up, 3 something, whatever. You got to be a little bit nasty because you're a big guy. But let me ask you this, bro. And I had this conversation with somebody because I think he is. Do you think Carter's a dirty player?
I think he's Warren Sapp 2.0. I think he's the second coming of Warren Sapp. And I got one. Happened to be the two only NFL players from Apopka, Florida, in NFL history. So Warren Sapp is also a close mentor of Jalen Carter up until he took the coaching job with Prime. There is no Carter keeping his cool, man. You take your blows with Jalen Carter. He fell in the draft for a reason. It's Jalen Carter is going to be Jalen Carter. Clint Hurt did his job in that position. Big Dom does his job keeping the head coach cool. I think that, great football teams have their characters. And to be specific on the defensive line.
Well said.
You have not everybody. I want to make this very clear. If you go through every Super Bowl winner in NFL history and you go to a lot of them, majority of them, I'm going to say 90%. Not everybody loves everybody, man. And some people understand that this guy needs to operate within this cosmos in order to be successful. And that's Jalen Carter. They do what they can with his personality, his character. If his Georgia brothers weren't there, I don't know if he would make it, to be honest with you. But the talent is so incredible that You ride the wave. And we don't have a serious conversation until something happens off the field or he costs the team, dearly. There's just think about how long we put up with Derek Barnett doing what he did in game, with the penalties and stuff. I mean, Carter is going to be Carter. So in my opinion, you let Carter be Carter within a contained atmosphere.
So a name that came up that I was actually a little bit more, because I think his talent level fits, because I'm biased of Warren Sapp. I think Warren Sapp might be, until I saw Aaron Donald, Warren Sapp to me was the best interior defensive lineman I've ever seen. You know what I mean? And Aaron Donald might take that crown, because what Aaron Donald did was special, like special. But Nagama, how do you first? Sue. I thought Sue was a really good comparison to what Carter is, because Sue was the same way. Sue was big, nasty, disruptive, and I want to say borderline, but a lot of people thought Sue was dirty. Now the difference is between that.
Is it dirty, or are they violent within a violent game? Because Jalen Carter, in my opinion, is a violent individual. And
that's another good. That's a bar. That's a bar. I like that. That's a bar.
He's. I know the NFL term, pass rush term, is violent hands, but he's just a violent man. And I just think that he plays head games. He talks shit. I mean, he is all about getting, and it's every player. The running backs. I mean, he grabbed up Najee. I know he got in Chuba Hubbard's head last game. Him and Chauncey did, because when Chauncey was on the ground, the NFL slipped up and had a hot mic next to Chuba, and Chuba was like, that's what you get for talking all that shit, So I just, again,
I fuck with Hubbard, man. I fuck with.
I'm actually a big Hubbard fan. I think he's a really good running back, but I think that we get under people's skin, man, and we are a physical football team, and that's the product of good coaching. But the defense, having a Carter's raved this offseason about how much he loved how old school Vic Fangio was.
Yeah, I mean,
for those watching, Apopka, Florida, that is Apopka. If you know anything about Apopka, Florida, God bless you. That's incredible. But the only thing I know about Apopka is Jalen Carter and Warren Sapp. So, and you should see the photos of him in high school, man. He's here. Every other kid's here. I mean,
who, Sapp?
Jalen Carter.
Carter. I'm about to say, I don't remember Sapp being that big of a guy. I mean, he was wide. He was a wide guy.
I'm talking about relative to the school, man. I mean, this is a tiny, tiny high school, bro. Like, Warren Sapp is the money they have for football jerseys. You know what I mean? Like, Carter is the next coming of what this city has. I mean, they're a town, really. I mean, I just think he's a truly special player.
I agree.
And the only controversy I see coming up is because he's going to want to get paid.
When
his contract comes up.
As he should. Yeah, he should be. He should be.
He deserves every bit of it. He's got Brett Van tattooed on his
talent
foot.
is there. It meets that. And, I mean, it's hard not to say he's not going to be an all-pro this year.
If he's not all pro this year, I don't know who is. I mean,
it'd be hard not to put him as an all pro. I haven't followed a lot
Cameron Hayward actually is kind of messing with him there for interior defensive line, because he's got 8 sacks, 8 or 9.
Who, Hayward? You talking about Pittsburgh? Yeah,
yes, 35-year-old Cameron Hayward, bro.
Yeah, man. Some of them old heads in that 3-4. I think Seymour was
BG
like that.
was balling. BG was having a fantastic season.
He was. Yeah, he was. He definitely was. It is.
I got one for you. I mentioned one tidbit about Jalen Carter, and I was talking about Georgia players. You, as a defensive lineman, and you understanding Carter as who he is as a person, do you think that Nakobe Dean is essential to have there for him? Because if you look at every time he gets hot, the first person that's there with him is Nakobe Dean.
Yeah,
I think so. Is a big one too.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because I think Dean has seen him when he didn't have the responsibility that he has now with the money and then the eyes in Georgia, right? So you got to, and you're probably getting some shit in the NFL, but there's consequences. You can lose it all. In Georgia, you definitely got in some shit because you were young, dumb.
Every single player on the team though did. So it's not let's not just. I get there's a big news thing with him, and that's what a lot of people want to talk about. We here at Money Pile, we're going to move on from the past when it comes to Jalen Carter. But I can guarantee you he is not the only Georgia player speeding. You can get on YouTube and find all the times these kids get pulled over because it is every other day, man. I mean,
yeah.
It's a Kirby Smart problem, not a.
I think you said it right. In the beginning when you even opened up the monologue about Carter, is that there's a reason why he fell. It was character, his character issues and some of the things that he got himself into, and there were some red flags. But the talent is unquestioned, and putting his names as one of the best interior defensive linemen in the NFL right now in year 2 is unquestioned as well. It is what it is. And for some reason, I can't load up the video, so we've already passed a lot of Jalen Carter talk. So you guys know it's on Twitter. You can find it.
Big Dom is in the middle of Jalen Carter with Clint Hurt, just telling Nick Sirianni, an angry Nick Sirianni, that he's got it. And I think it was just.
What do you think about that part? Do you think? I think that the way Carter looked in that video, it made it seem like, Nick, don't bring your dumb ass over here and talk to me. Like, don't even. The
only other word I can tell you is Jalen Carter is a fucking demon, man. And when he gets in that zone, I wouldn't want to be in the cage with him either. So Nick yelling like that. Look, Clint Hurt's job here as a defensive line coach was to take a defensive line without Fletcher Cox and be that guy and the coach. So
true.
Clint Hurt is the uncle that steps in place and says, man, just let me talk to him.
I got it. That's my guy.
I talk to him. I get him right. That's me. That's me. He did that because I didn't get on him about it.
Yeah.
I don't need your ass coming in here because Jalen Carter, deep down, this guy wants to appease everybody. You know what I mean? He wants to be the best. But when he gets in that war zone, you know what I mean? Just leave him be. Just leave him be because it's contained. Until it gets not contained, then there's a problem. But when you keep
it's only contained because of the pillars around there keeping it contained.
Exactly. If this was an organization like Chicago, Arizona, it would have been a complete disaster off the rails already.
Yeah.
Or, I think that guys like Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox was a huge piece in this. That's well documented. Fletcher Cox.
Because Fletcher's a dog. You're not going to.
He kept him straight. Big Dom's there. Big Dom keeps everybody kind of on edge due to his, just stature and demeanor. But I think Clint Hurt is the true veteran that they needed because there was all this talk about, will the Eagles add depth to the defensive line? Will they add another veteran like they had with Kentavious Street the year previously? Will they add a Ndamukong Suh type guy, a Linval Joseph type guy? Like, why aren't they bringing in somebody? I think it's because they got the coach. He can't suit up and play. There's rules against that. But, I mean, he could wrestle with any of them any day. So I think it's just this guy, it's his job. He's saying, Nick, heat of the moment, don't worry, I got him. Like I got him because he's the one that gets to work him in individuals.
Well, not even that. I think he understands Carter's temperament probably better than Nick. And I
think Nick's temperament in the moment blinded his knowledge of his player. For sure.
Absolutely. I mean, when they put it on,
Nick is very aware of who Jalen Carter is as a player and as a person. Yeah. But like I said, Nick's marinara flowing through his veins there. He just got so hot and just so angry. But that's
he don't want to see no sweet potatoes and fried chicken over there, right?
No, not that. No, God, no, not that. No, he just Nick is very passionate, man.
For sure.
Very upset.
Time and a place. I just my thing is that everything's good when it's good and we're winning. I wonder, on the other side of that, if we were losing and struggling, how does, like you said, does it kind of come unravel? I don't want to stay in too much on Carter. So I think there's probably some other things that we can talk about at the game that we can nitpick at. But as we kind of finish this up and look at something else, I just wonder, because there's going to be bad times, right? It's going to be tough times. Like it's good times when you're winning, but on the other side of that, what does that look like, for bad times?
Let me leave it on this. I am more happy for him slapping Connor Hayward and giving up a penalty with a big lead than I am, or we can say with a lead. I'll say with a lead, rather than he gets in the middle of that brawl and really shows everybody what he's capable of. Because the defense was on the field. You know what I mean? And he could have taken himself out of the game, but he didn't.
Right.
He talked. He ran his mouth, but he didn't act on anything. So when Connor Hayward's poking the buttons, you're going to, you're going to get it.
You're going to get it. Yeah. Okay. What else did you see in this game that we can nitpick at? That, for me, in my head, like Detroit got crushed with injuries again, and they are railing with injuries. Now they might do enough to lip through.
Rough.
And speaking of Detroit, don't sleep on. We'll catch everybody up with the games. I know you might be watching it too as you're watching this. Right now, Vikings are up 13-0. Halftime in Atlanta is driving 7 minutes to go in the second. They're up 7-3. That's a great game to watch. A bum ass game. But I mean, right now with the Vikings coming up 12, looking like they're going to win against Chicago, will be 12-2. Looking at the end of the schedules for both those teams with Detroit and the Vikings, and there's a collision course for those teams in Week 18 where they play each other one more time. Could be for the division at the end of the year, and possibly if we don't stumble at all, because we have the Commanders coming up, which is going to be a tough game. We got to run in the NFC, each division at the end. If we don't stumble, it's possible for the Vikings to even find their way to the number 1 seed as well. So kind of like a 3-man race, even though Detroit looks like it's kind of faltering there. We're rising, and so is the Vikings. But
we're still a game behind.
We're like, if we tied, they would get the number 1 seed
because of our loss to Atlanta.
Correct. So I do understand that, but my question here is that looking at this game, and it looks like there's a path for the Eagles to get to the Super Bowl, especially if we get the number 1 seed where all routes and roads go through Philadelphia. What in this game can you nitpick at that we will need to make sure we tighten up if we see more than likely Buffalo or KC in the Super Bowl?
Well,
Loaded question.
I think that we'll start here. Mentioned earlier, the idea of Cooper DeJean, your starting nickelback, which is we are a base nickel team, so he is a starting defender and an essential defender. In the first 4 weeks of the season, we got picked apart when Avonte Maddox was on the field.
Yep.
He's been recently benched in dime. Not sure if anybody's noticed, but in place of Isaiah Rodgers. And the reason he was benched there is because he was targeted when we rarely went to dime. And this is like maybe 5 to 10 snaps a game, like maybe. And he got benched for that recently. Avonte Maddox is a great vet. He's a good special teamer at this point in his career, and he knows the playbook. So that's the big thing for him. And he's a really good teammate. So Maddox is serving his role that way. Cooper DeJean gets hurt on one of these returns, we could lose it all, man. I mean, if people want to talk about a Jalen Hurts injury, a Saquon Barkley injury, A.J. Brown, Lane Johnson, got any of those. If Cooper DeJean goes down.
You think Cooper is the key?
I'm telling you, man, we don't have a backup that could play the position as well as he does. He is the nickel. We would have to almost move Quinion inside, which is not the best move, and put in Isaiah Rodgers or something outside. That's our only back, because Maddox is a liability when he's in the game.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they would do that. Even though
Mitchell played nickel all summer.
Yeah, I know he played all positions, but he's so dominant on the outside. What's those numbers again? I know you said something earlier.
He's at plus 110 to be defensive rookie of the year.
Hey, I tried to tell you, boys.
Well, Verse gets 3 sacks in one game and it's over. So I mean
I think what's hurting Verse is that Fist has more sacks than him. I think that's what hurting Verse. I think that's what Fist is balling. Fist is
that, and Mitchell, the defense that he's in really helps him too. Because not to discredit Mitchell, I mean, he's not following anybody, or he's playing one side of the field, which is good. But he also has a former All-Pro across from him, so he's not
true.
He's still a cornerback 2 on our team. He's not supposed.
No, he is. No, you're right. He is.
But in our defense, we don't move guys. Very Sherman-esque. So I would just say that's a big thing. Like, and what I'm going to come full circle to is and I'm a fan. I was a fan in the process. What are we doing with Anais Smith if he's active on game days? He doesn't play active, and he's not returning punts, which is what he did in college well. So, in my opinion, his entire job on the roster is to back up Britton Covey. And with Britton Covey, I think, unfortunately, I'm almost prepared to close the book on him. I think he's too small to play in the NFL. These injuries are compounding, and
Isn't Smith smaller?
Smith's much more compact. Like he's like 5'9". Covey's like 5'8", 160.
So they're close.
Yeah, but Anaya Smith is 5'9", 185, and he bench pressed 225 21 times or something like that. Like that's not Britton Covey.
Right.
It's not. He just somehow.
Covey's an ex-Olympian, right?
No, you're talking about Devin Allen. Devin Allen's the former Olympian. Britton Covey is the 28-year-old Mormon out of Utah.
Okay.
UDFA. He was the punt returner. He scored a touchdown on Ohio State in that bowl game.
Yeah, on Utah. He had a game against Ohio State.
Yeah, he had multiple returns.
Yeah, multiple returns. Yeah.
His body, again, at 5'8", I think they list him at 5'8", 170. So at 5, which is not your real height and weight. So
facts.
I believe that he's just might be too small to play in the league. Anaya Smith played at Texas A&M. It was a good punt returner for a couple years in the SEC.
Yep.
You know, and I've seen him get hit really hard and holding the ball. For some reason, he's developed a case of the drops, and it happens. And I just don't think they trust him. So
why would you trust him back there to do punt returns then?
I'm asking the question. I'm not saying that's not what I'm saying. What I'm asking is what the fuck is the point of him being on the roster? If he's not here, then go get somebody that can, because his dead money is a 5th round pick, is whatever. But they won't do it because Howie Roseman will never play draft pick. I'm just saying that he's not gonna. They're not gonna do it. But they're set up for failure if something happens to Cooper DeJean in that position. And they also turned the ball over twice.
They did
in their own
Cooper
zone
and Hurts. Yep.
Because Cooper fumbled it, and then Jalen's little scramble off to the side. That was T.J. Watt's good punch. But the defense saved their ass again. The defense couldn't save their ass in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. It wasn't going to happen. And what won us the Super Bowl in 2017 was the offense. The defense did not win the Super Bowl then.
Hell no.
The defense is winning a lot of games right now.
Tom Brady had 500 yards. So
last defense to win the Super Bowl, can you name it?
Ravens?
2019 Patriots, when they took McVay's awesome offense and just bagged it up and 13-7 that ass.
Ravens is the ones that stick out to me. I mean Peyton had a great game, but that Denver defense versus that Seattle offense, that
Todd Gurley inside zone offense with McVay that year was ridiculous, dude. And the fact
it was, Todd.
Everybody was favoring them. They're no way, Patriots and Tom do it again.
Yeah.
And it was all Bill that one.
There was a couple good defenses on the, on that. I'm
Broncos
thinking
in 15 was really good.
Yeah, even what was it KC? Who did KC play last year? Who they beat? Niners. I don't remember that game too much because I felt like the Niners played okay.
Chiefs just won the game.
Chiefs, I think Chiefs just won the game. Even though that defense had a history.
Really good. I mean, Pagnola is, Spags is awesome, but
of course, yeah.
They just win. They have Andy Reid.
So we talked about Carter. We talked about Cooper. Let's go for the trifecta. What's the third nitpick thing that we could talk about that we saw in this game?
I would say is Hurts's performance a blip, or is this what we're going to see moving forward?
I agree with that one. I think Hurts's performance, even though good, I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to face those two. Now, again, we've talked about Hurts before. We understand what he is as a quarterback.
Now, in that game, though, that fumble was a little fluky in the Super Bowl. And would you not? He outplayed. That was the best game he's played in his career.
Yeah, that's the best game he's ever played in his
career. Was unbelievable.
And it was when the lights were biggest. And this is where I was going with that. He's a winner. And I keep saying this second word, too, because I think he is. Because I can't remember a time when he didn't show up. He is clutch. When the lights are bright and they shine.
That's an underrated word in the NFL.
He is clutch.
In the NBA, we toss that word around like it's nothing. We really do. We toss the word around like it's nothing. In the NFL, though, you're on to something there, Nate, because who really is clutch? Because only one team has the ball at the end of the game.
Correct.
And not only one person, because we don't credit a corner for being clutch. You don't just say, if Pat Surtain's locking up on the last drive, he's locking up the whole game. You know what I mean? Like it's a defense but an individual to be clutch. Mahomes is clutch.
Yes.
Josh Allen is clutch.
Yes.
Lamar Jackson?
Close.
There's a question mark there.
Close. He's
But
not.
Jalen Hurts, I'm going with you, dude. I think
Jalen's
the
clutch.
quality that he has that is elite that we could talk about. And we're not just talking about he's a, because I think good leader, that was one that came out of college. I don't know if that's necessarily true.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it was good in college.
Natural leader of men, I'm not sure.
Yeah, a leader of men who make money. Yeah, you got to be a different type of cat.
But,
yeah, I'm not sure about that.
But clutch. Is this dude going to deliver when it matters?
Yeah.
Because you slip up against Carolina, the entire media world takes a spin. And I mean, WIP's getting listens through the roof that they don't, they get a lot of listens, obviously, but their numbers were just astronomical. We get all this stuff, and then this dude goes out there and does that to Mike Tomlin. I mean, that's just
Steelers defense.
They didn't have George Pickens. I hear him. I hear you, Steelers fans. He didn't have George Pickens, but he doesn't play on that side of the ball. So
yeah,
we're not going to complain about Deshaun Elliott and Larry Ogunjobi, because I mean, dude, But the thing is this is what we argued about and why we got so mad about the Panthers game, because it was there in front of them.
Correct.
And so my problem is, do you not fucking see it, or are you not throwing it? Which one is it? Because if you don't see it, we have a really big problem.
Right.
But if you're not throwing it, we can give you less responsibility and make you throw it as coaches.
Yeah. I don't mind the game manager.
No.
The game manager kind of umbrella for him if that continues to win you games. I mean, do we not remember Pat Mahomes was a game manager last year?
He's still this year he's been an elite game manager.
Yeah, like you can be an elite game manager and win multiple rings. I'm cool with that.
It's not. I mean, was Tom Brady an elite man with his body? No, he won up here every time.
Yeah,
I mean, I think
times different. Times different though. It's hard. It's tough when you talk about the goats of goats because they're special.
I do, but I mean, for those that don't know, Hurts is very close to the Manning family. Has been for some time. I believe
didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
Where do you get your sources from, bro? Where do you know this stuff? No, I did not know that.
That's on the internet. Yeah, he did the Manning camp.
Oh, he did the Manning camp. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, no, he did the Manning cast, I think, on the Super Bowl year or last year or whatever. And he did it with Eli and Peyton, and they went back on. Yeah,
another clutch player. People don't give him credit for him. Eli's clutch. Eli's been clutch in my book for a long time.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still in the boat.
People don't like Eli. I get it. I apologize to everybody watching.
He stumbles into success. Donovan, drank his way out of success.
Donovan is not clutch.
Cheers, Donovan. No, Donovan is the least clutch quarterback.
He's not clutch. He is not clutch. He's had so many moments where he could have been, and it just didn't work out. And
Donovan was the definition of last year for Eagles fans. I'm going to get you to 10 wins, and then I'm going to take you so low that you have no idea where we're going.
But it was the worst because it'd be in the big moments. It'd be in the playoffs. It wasn't regular season. Donovan was a killer in the regular season. But come playoff time, when you really needed him, oh, man, it was brutal.
Let me get one gripe in real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
A lot of the stat things on Twitter and just social media in general, they're crediting Lamar Jackson for his total touchdowns and interceptions. So they're using passing and rushing as one number, and they're listing it total touchdowns and interceptions. But you put Josh Allen, there's passing touchdowns and picks, and then his rushing touchdowns. But with Jalen, they just don't even say. They're just like, he hasn't turned the ball over in like 8 games. So, what are we doing? It's like, I just think it's funny because if we take Jalen's stats, I believe he's like 32 touchdowns and like 5 picks. Lamar's 37 and 5. That's not too far off.
Yeah. I think the one thing is this. I think I saw a stat a couple of weeks ago. I think it was like 80% of Jalen's rushing touchdowns were within like the 2-yard line. Unfortunately, Saquon taps himself out. It is what it is, and Jalen gets the, gets the beneficiary of that. Because I think it even came out about Barkley's contract doesn't have anything about touchdown incentives. Yeah, there's nothing in there, but it just like it's fun that dropped because Jalen was scoring so many touchdowns. So it is what it is. I mean, we're 12-2. that's what the name of the game is, and that's what it matters. And we're tied for the
That's
number
what we
one.
preached all season was
Yeah.
stay cool through the Nick Sirianni stuff.
Let's see.
Fun fact, he's the only Eagles coach in history not named Andy Reid with multiple 12-plus win seasons. So,
And Nick, we trust. I've been saying it for a while.
yeah, it's that answer we had to Bill Belichick. He's coaching up the road for me right now. So,
people talking about like I don't know how you don't put Nick in the coach of the year, conversation. That's just hard for me.
If there was a comeback coach of the year, I think that could be a thing. But he just
let me ask you this, because I'm about to bring up the playoff picture real quick so we can get a kind of understand what happened with NFL Week 15 as it's kind of closing out again. Vikings are still up 13-0. Falcons are now up 9-3, and they're driving. Looking like they might get another field goal. That game's slow. Not even get the halftime yet. How do we not put Sirianni? Well, with Sirianni, do you think once they made the full commitment to running the ball, and we understand that Lane Johnson, who else was in there? Alot, I think somebody else, maybe Dickerson, went in there and talked to Lurie or talked to whoever about changing the philosophy of this team. Do you think Nick took a step back and just let his offensive and defensive coordinators run how they run, and he went more of a NFL head coach? Or do you think like anything really changed at all? They just changed their philosophy of how they do offense, and things just started working.
No. So I've argued with
because I'm with you on that. I don't think
I've argued with a couple people on this channel about the philosophy of this organization. This comes from the Joe Banner, Andy Reid days, which is about as consistent with Lurie's tenure as owner.
Mm-hmm.
You pass to score, you run to win. I think the way this team changed at the bye is more of a sentiment to the belief from the top in Nick Sirianni than a disbelief. Kellen Moore has never, ever never ran a rushing offense. Kellen Moore was brought here to provide motion and to get more of a Sean McVay style, Kyle Shanahan offense.
We still haven't seen a lot of motion either.
No, we're the opposite of it because Hurts doesn't fucking like it. So just like another coach, they're sucked into to what we are as the Eagles, the galaxy. Like I said, the cosmos earlier. It's the Eagles are greater than any individual that's going to come into this organization. So Sirianni should be looked at from that point. Somebody's got to be telling Lurie, we can do this. And another side note for Sirianni, from what I understand, the players absolutely love this guy.
Yes,
and the locker
love
room,
his energy.
They feed off this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So when he's down in the dumps, I think people got misconstrued last year, and I think people got it wrong. Is where the team that they wanted him to keep doing what he was doing on the sideline. They just wanted him to understand that when he was upset and disappointed, it reflected on them, and they became upset and disappointed even in wins. And I think that's a big thing with Sirianni, is that he's got to constantly be positive and reflect. He can't just sit over there and be in his own world. He's not in his own world. Mm-hmm. There's a really good documentary. It's an NFL short documentary, about 10 minutes from NFL Films YouTube, that is about Larry Karras, his college football coach at Mount Union. And it shows about how the demeanor of Larry Karras, who's the greatest Division II football coach of all time, kind of pours into the way
Sirianni's coach?
Yeah, Sirianni played wide receiver at Mount Union.
I thought he went to Rowan. Did he go to Rowan?
Mount Union.
Mount Union? Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I thought Rowan. I thought it was like because Rowan at one point D3 was amazing.
Yeah, I think Mount Union is what, D2, D3? They're D3, right?
Are they? I think they're D3. Yeah, I think Mount Union.
Whatever they are. I mean, they dominate every,
Yeah, right. I know. I'm somewhat familiar with the team.
But yeah, Larry Karras was the coach for a really long time, and Sirianni played for him, and so that's a big thing for him as a coach. I think the dude's a good coach, man. I mean, I think the the hatred comes from the market, and I think that he owns it really well, and I think he protects his players.
Protects everybody. That's the one thing I really like. He protects his players.
He takes bullets, man. He just takes
the them all. He takes all the bullets.
And I think that's things that Doug Peterson didn't like to do. And I think it's something that Chip Kelly wasn't capable of, but I think it's something that Andy Reid got tired of. I think he got tired of being called stupid or, how could you do this, blah, 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 when you had this, and that. And I said it earlier in the year, man. I don't think Nick Sirianni's Andy Reid, but I think to run this guy out of town would just be so dumb. And now he's 46-19.
Because who you replacing with is the question. That's the problem. Yeah. Kellen Moore hasn't been a head coach for a reason. And Fangio doesn't
if anybody has ever talked to Kellen Moore, been in the same room as Kellen Moore, you would know. The guy does not really have doesn't have a take over a room demeanor. And for those saying, oh, well, NFL owners gave him head coaching jobs, there are NFL owners that will tell you that other NFL owners aren't competent. They just have money. So,
yeah,
not everybody has it as good as Eagles fans do. And I think that's something that they don't understand truly.
Yeah. So let's look at the NFL Week 15 kind of recap. We'll look at the playoff picture real quick. I know a lot of people have been coming in and out of the chat. So those who are still watching, make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Let's go into 2025 with a bang. Right now, that didn't do what I wanted to do. Let me see. That didn't do that either. So let me do this. Not sure how I want to do that now. That didn't look the way I wanted to look. All right, we'll do it. We'll run it. It's all good. We'll do it and we'll just stay behind it, be honest. All right, so right now you see the updated picture of the playoffs. Buffalo had a huge win in Detroit on the road. And we got a win against the Steelers. So now we are tied for number one, even though, like Ernie B said before, the tiebreaker does go to Detroit because of the Atlanta loss. So right now, the division leaders are KC, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and Houston, with wild cards being Baltimore and Denver, and the Chargers with the Colts, Miami, and Cincy looking at the outside looking in. It looks like Cincy chances are over, and with Miami's recent loss to the Texans, that has also kind of crushed their percentage of getting into the playoffs. I think it's like now 15%, because I think Houston actually won that division with kind of all the things that kind of happened with the losses and wins that kind of happened throughout the AFC. But Buffalo holds a 1-game edge on Pittsburgh for the number 2 seed. Pittsburgh and Baltimore play actually this Saturday coming up. So that should be a great game to play. Now with the NFC, Detroit, Philly, Tampa, and the Rams are now division leaders, thanks to Seattle losing. A lot of teams not out of it just yet. With Minnesota, Green Bay, and Washington being your 3 wild cards. And Seattle took a tough loss, and Geno is hurt. With Arizona, Atlanta still fighting, San Fran, Dallas, and New Orleans still technically and statistically alive. The Rams in Seattle do meet in Week 18 with possibly the division crown on the line, so we'll see what that looks like. And then, like we talked about before, with Detroit losing and the Eagles winning, Minnesota can put a lot of pressure on Detroit. With the win tonight that makes them 12-2, they would still be behind the Lions because they lost to the Lions early in the year, but they do play them in Week 18, which is interesting because that could be for the division and possibly the number 1 seed. With the Eagles, we have the NFC East gauntlet to go through with Washington, Dallas, and the G-Men. Looking at this right now, bro, as we kind of broke that down, any of those teams you can think outside can get in? I kind of think this is kind of set. Maybe some seeding changes, but what I think we're looking at is going to be what it looks like. Washington definitely survived the bullet with New Orleans. New Orleans went for 2, didn't get it. So Washington definitely survived the bullet there, but everything looks kind of like it should. The only surprising could be what somehow the Vikings get the number 1 seed some way somehow.
I think
But
the
other
number
than
1
that,
seed as of right now is kind of down to Detroit and Philadelphia. Or I guess it could be Detroit, Minnesota, and Philadelphia. I just don't see a world in which Minnesota gets the number 1 seed. The Rams getting in over the Seahawks was huge. As we stand today, I think the Bucs are still worst case scenario to play for the Eagles at any point. I just don't want that problem. I mean,
yeah, I don't want to see them either.
I just don't want the issue, man. It's a problem and a half. I just don't want it.
Yeah, because they'll play us just the same way they did before.
Yeah, and that's just
unfortunate.
It's stupid. I don't know. I mean, we still don't have a plan on how to beat that just yet. I mean, shout out to the NFC North, man. Putting a handful of teams there in the playoffs. Hopefully the East can have 2 in there. I mean, I think playing Washington first round is about best case scenario for us. But we still got to beat them this week.
Yeah, I don't like playing division opponents 3 times in a year. It gets a little.
No, I don't like it when it's Dallas.
But. Yeah, it gets a little funky. But I've always thought Washington was kind of a little bit of fraudulent throughout the year, just because they didn't play any top competition throughout the year.
They get 10 wins though with the 2nd overall pick. That's a damn good season. They had the season that I thought the Bears were going to have. So
hold on, you said the 2nd overall pick they get?
No, they had the 2nd overall pick.
Oh, the second. Okay.
If they get another win, they've had 10 wins. I mean, that's
yeah. No, it's a good with a rookie quarterback. Absolutely, you're absolutely right on that, for sure. Yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm just wondering with the way this bracket is.
It's look. Our hopes don't get real unless the NFC runs through Philly. That's just the way it's point blank period, man. We're not taking them down in Detroit. I mean, it would be a rough road. We need the week 1 bye really bad.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
we need Goddard to get a week off and come back. You know, Bryce Huff is eligible to return. Saquon Barkley got dinged up in the last game. Landon Dickerson and Mekhi Becton were dinged up. Landon Dickerson did not finish. Becton did not finish. We exhausted all 8 of our offensive linemen that were active yesterday. So, you know.
Yeah. Do you know what the word was with Dickerson? Do you know what it was with his groin?
Lower body injury. You know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they don't. They won't release anything.
Yeah, and even Lane was a little banged up coming off for a little bit. He went back. I know he get a thing.
Yeah, they're like we're the Patriots of modern football when it comes to secrecy and shit like that and competitive advantage, which Sirianni, Howie, and Jeffrey are all fans of that process. So it's not surprising to see.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's any huge storylines. I guess Denver going.
Playoffs are pretty. I mean, it's kind of like I said, there's a lot that can kind of change around. The AFC is kind of set in stone.
Yeah,
I think it's like Colts. They have a losing record. I think the 3 teams that are in the wild card have a losing record in the AFC. So, I mean, the NFC still got a little bit of jumble, little shit to go down.
Yeah, and I don't think Atlanta's fighting, right? Atlanta's trying to.
Yeah, their trajectory. I mean, they're playing how's it going against the Raiders right now? Because
still 9-3. It's a doogie game.
Jesus.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins 7 for 9, 84 yards. Robinson's 10 catches, 58 yards. It's just kind of one of those, they're letting the Raiders hang around. But I mean, it's Ritter. I mean, right now Desmond Ritter with the 2nd pick. I mean, right now the Raiders hold the 2nd pick in the draft. So, obviously they're looking at quarterback. Obviously they're looking at Shador, which makes a lot of sense. I talked about that.
I think we said that
it was like
easily. I think we talked about that as a joke.
Like it was in the beginning. I mean, I'm talking about like 2 months ago type shit. We talked.
Yeah, we talked about it as a joke. We even said Vegas. That's one of them.
Yeah, can you imagine? Yeah, the Sanders show. Yeah, like it was just.
And that's not even Dion as head coach. Like I think he'd probably let Antonio Pierce coach his son.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so.
And let me clarify this. With the opportunity for him to hop in at some point, I think would be ideas, the door would be kind of cracked open for Deion.
Yeah, I mean, them getting the second ranked high school quarterback, kind of probably changes his mind a little bit. And shout out to Deion Sanders too, and what's he doing? I mean, I know Ed Reed had a kind of a run around with his head coaching opportunity in Florida. I think he had an FBS school at one point, but that kind of went downhill. But he at least got an opportunity. I know right now there's always multiple talks about Ray Lewis coaching schools in Florida. And I just saw on the website, the Score app, that Michael Vick is in serious talks about coaching
South Carolina State, I believe.
Was it South? Yeah, I think was it Savannah State? I think it was.
Might be Savannah State. It might have been Savannah State.
Savannah State, and they're just. I'm assuming this is amazing for them, moving out of the FBS, trying to get into the Pac-12, and just got $50 million in NIL money, and then you add Michael Vick as your head coach.
The NFL.
I mean,
the NFL has a career pathway program within the NFL. Former players and coaches or family of those can use to try to get jobs. One of the things that the NFLPA is kind of pushing for, but not necessarily specifically, is a football pathway program where just, it takes one guy with power to pick up the phone and call a certain guy with power and just be, hey man, give this guy an interview. Just give him an interview. It opens a lot of doors. I think it's really cool seeing how many former players are coming out as coaches.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's
what I'm saying. It's not a bunch of guys like me. It's a bunch of former players.
It's players. Yeah.
And it's
with Belichick, right? Belichick just, who knows how it works, but Belichick just went to.
It's complete opposite.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes.
Really cool.
Yeah, I think it's a good deal.
I think it's good for football.
It is good for football. It's good for the kids, right? To see these greats, and people still.
Speaking of kids, I got one for you that I'll leave you on. Did you see the NFL promoted the Gardner Johnson hit on their NFL? What's it called? NFL.
What the Nintendo?
No. Their Play Football Instagram page.
No, I didn't see
how to execute a big hit. So for anybody saying the Gardner Johnson hit was dirty, the NFL itself promoted the hit as this is how you hit somebody in modern football. So
I like it. But yeah, no, I think it's great. And for some of these kids, and like I was going to say, people talk about how Madden, what Madden is that? So bad. 97 with Vic on it. Was that 90?
No, that's Madden 2004.
04. I'm sorry. Way off.
With
04 being the best Madden ever. Yeah, with being the best Madden ever, and then you get a call, right? You get a call from this guy. You know what I'm saying? So, and not even that he comes to your house, because as college coaches and head coaches, you got to go and recruit players. You can't do it from the sidelines.
That's why some of them love it, though.
See you, buddy. Yeah. Just like that, right? You got a kid come and give you a hug. Just like we saw the Heisman. You get, Travis Hunter, real tears, real hard work, and now he's going to be able to do things for his family and being a top 5 pick. So I think that's really cool. Like you said, I think it's great that players are going back and kind of giving back to the kids. It's a lot of money, right? They probably need a salary cap. There's a lot of things.
Yeah, and they're already hiring GMs. They're in the process of it.
Yeah. So, but
you saw Bill. The first thing he did was hire a GM. So
I think there's a lot of stuff there that's still being worked out, but a lot of cool stuff. A lot of definitely cool stuff, man. Just like this show, man. A lot of cool stuff. We got to figure out a name if we lose. Like if the Eagles lose, we can't call it Victory Monday podcast.
Loser Mondays, dude. Loser Mondays.
Loser Mondays? We're gonna go right with it. Just Loser Mondays.
Oh, man.
And then we'll just go with the L's. Take the L. All right, I can do that. If we can take the wins, we can take the L's, man, for sure. You know what I mean? But right now, again, before we get out of here, let's take a look at the games right now. Still ugly games. 13-0. Vikings up on Chicago. Chicago is actually driving, and they finally got the halftime damn near 10 o'clock. In a shootout with the Falcons and Raiders, 9-3 at the moment. So if you guys are still watching these games or not, go ahead and take a look at that. And our Sixers got a win today, man.
Paul George, top 10 all-time NBA.
Yeah, Maxi put up a 40 burger too. 121 and 108. So shame about Embiid getting hurt, can't catch a break. The Sixers can't catch a break.
It's not our year.
It's almost like we might as well just pack it in. Just
I mean, it's the NBA at this point.
Yeah, just pack it in. So the player, Moss Money, that's the GM, Ernie B. This is Victory Mondays. We will see you guys. Is that next Monday? I think we could do next Monday. Maybe we might see. We'll talk it out. I'll put a post up. We might take off for the holiday week. If it's quiet, we'll see. It was a big game against Washington, so we'll see. We'll let you guys know.
Maybe like a little half show or maybe
maybe a little half an hour. Talk about the game real quick. Get out of here.
Yeah. Especially if there's any major news or something.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Make sure you also 2025. The merch is coming. I've been in the lab working, getting it together. Burn, you see Ernie B with the hat. This is an old school Money Pot shirt, but we got some new merch coming.
That's branded bills too. That's not cheap. Not cheap.
Yeah, no, not cheap at all. Not cheap at all. So merch is coming. Website is coming. That's one thing I'm definitely on the 2025 docket. So we got some more cool things coming for you. So again, I'm the player, Moss Money. That's Ernie B, the GM. We will catch you guys next week, and hopefully again for another Victory Monday podcast. See you guys later. Have a good night.